So now, what do Republicans want President Obama to do in the situation in Ferguson? Well, it doesn't help Republicans. People might want to demilitarize the police. They might want to get minorities to the voting booth so they can actually affect change, so they can have a government that is more representative of them, for example, in Ferguson, Missouri. Now, the head of the Republicans in Missouri hates that and is on the record as saying it's disgusting to get these people to vote. To have them register to vote, it literally said disgusting, right? Now, Paul Ryan, representing the House Republicans, goes on television, and what does he say? Watch.
When you see what's unfolding in Ferguson, based on your experience over the past year, what do you think is the problem?
The first thing I do is don't try to capitalize on this tragedy with your own policy initiatives. Don't try to link some prejudged conclusion on what's happening on the ground right now. So really, I think we should take a deep breath. Let's have sympathy for the family and the community, and let's not prejudge anything, and let's let the investigation take its course and hope that justice is served appropriately. But what I don't want to do as a political leader is try to graft my policy initiatives or my preferences onto this tragedy. I think that would just be disrespectful. And this looting and the lawlessness and the tragedy upon tragedy is something that we all should call for a halt, and so that we can actually just take a breath, let the investigation take its course. Let's think about the people who are damaged in this community, and then not draw conclusions too early. And as policymakers, I don't want to try to capitalize on tragedy by saying, well, here's what we should do because this is what I'm for. That's just not appropriate, in my opinion.
Yeah, but Fox News rolling the looter footage 24/7 in the background as he talks. And always, deep breath, take a deep breath. When it's not going to help Republicans, you need to take a deep breath. Oh, there's a school shooting, 20 kids get massacred. Take a deep breath before you do anything about guns. Oh, it's a good thing you took a breath and you halted just like Paul Ryan wanted to, because after you took that breath, you didn't do anything about it. In this case, get African Americans to register to vote. No, take a deep breath, don't do anything. Demilitarize the police, take a deep breath, don't do anything. Now, what happens when, for example, there's a Muslim terrorist that strikes or tries to strike, the underwear bomber, whoever it might be, obviously 9/11. Attack right away! We have to take advantage. We have to act right away. Don't take a breath. Let's attack, okay? Let's go into Afghanistan. Iraq didn't do it. Who gives a shit? Attack right now. Take political advantage, right? So it's so convenient. Look, President Obama, they're setting you up to do nothing. Now let's go to Fox News and their efforts to get the president to stand down and not do anything. Hey, don't you dare say anything that might actually address the racial problems and the police problems in this country. Watch the overwhelming propaganda on Fox News here.
There you have it. The leader of the free world, with sagging approval numbers, jumping into another local criminal justice situation. And once again, he does this before all of the facts have been gathered.
Your take on it, and I have to agree, is that it appears the Obama administration is kind of orchestrating this tragedy.
Well, it certainly appears to be that way. Very, very disturbing.
President Obama again jumping into the controversy from Martha's Vineyard.
You have a situation to where the president of the United States should come out and say, even pleading, not angry, just pleading, what good does this do?
Remember his beer summit after his silly comments about the Henry Louis Gates break-in in Cambridge, or his "if I had a son, he'd look like Trayvon" remarks?
Well, I don't know if he's jumped in too quickly. He may have chosen a side too quickly with regard to this issue of excessive force.
This is very troubling. And then when you tie in this, the president's two public speeches about this, and his statement, it really does seem that they have decided to insert themselves right into the middle of this narrative.
But did the president go too far in choosing sides on this?
These Obama administration interjections have stoked racial discord in America and sown more distrust between minorities in some local law enforcement.
But if you look at the shadings in his statements, he's clearly made a statement that the police were acting in an excessive way, that they were violating rights not only of protesters, but of reporters on the scene.
But I suggested that he also should have expressed sympathy and condolences for this police officer, A, who got injured in the line of duty, and B, whose reputation is being dragged through the mud.
So he switches the focus to racial injustice in Missouri and away from his policy failures to try to gin up the base. This is textbook Obama.
And so when you do so, you set a scene and you set an atmosphere, unfortunately, I think, for continued discord and possibly violence in such a community.
That's what the president should have said.
So at a moment where you can actually address the nation and say, hey, let's have an honest conversation about race and why African Americans are this upset, I can tell you, and then we'll have an honest back and forth. What does Fox News do? Don't do that. Don't do that. You would be taking sides. That Todd Starnes from Fox News said he might be orchestrating the Michael Brown tragedy. Yeah, he made all this happen so he can jump in. So now what's President Obama going to do when he does his press conference yesterday? Of course he's not going to jump in. Of course he's not going to address it. Instead, he's going to do exactly what Fox News and the Republicans want him to do, which is be mealy-mouthed, be lukewarm, and say things like this.
I have to be very careful about not prejudging these events before investigations are completed, because although these are issues of local jurisdiction, the DOJ works for me, and when they're conducting an investigation, I've got to make sure that I don't look like I'm putting my thumb on the scales one way or the other.
Oh, Fox News, don't hit me. Please don't hit me. See, it's almost as if Fox News wrote that out for him and handed it to him. I don't want to prejudge. I don't want to say anything interesting or important to the country at this moment when they're paying attention. I promise I won't do anything. I'll just bow my head. Now, if he said that and then followed up with an honest conversation about race, okay, that first part would be a totally fine thing to say. If that's all you say, it is not totally fine. Here, one other small part of this here. Listen to this clip.
Part of the ongoing challenge of perfecting our union has involved dealing with communities that feel left behind.
Communities that feel left behind. Which communities might those be? I don't know if you know this, President Obama. You're in that community. If only there was a black president who could speak out now. Now, let me tell you what I would do. President Obama, you remember that when you were running for office in 2008 and race became an issue because of the Reverend Wright so-called controversy, what did you do? You gave the most eloquent discussion of race and one of the best speeches I have ever heard in my lifetime. Because that was when it affected you. My God, your career was on the line. Now we have an issue that affects the country. You're the president. You know what you could do? You can have an Oval Office address where you come out and you say, hey, look, guys, there is discrimination in this country, and I'm going to prove it to you, okay? And you can show them the things that we show on the show all the time. For example, same exact resume. It's a study that has been done and verified, and there's no question about it. Same exact resume, a black-sounding name and a white-sounding name. The white-sounding name gets 50% more callbacks. If your name even sounds black, they don't even call you back. 50% more. Do you know what kind of hole that puts you in? There's a study about black hands holding things up on eBay for sale. If it's a black hand versus a white hand, it gets a lower price, it needs to be more verified, and the list goes on and on. Those are 2 out of a dozen studies you could talk about. It doesn't mean, white folks of America, it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. Oftentimes, minorities do the same discrimination because it's unconscious. It's in a lot of our heads. And a discussion about it brings it out into the open and maybe gets it out of our heads. These are facts. You can talk about housing discrimination, what Donald Sterling did, not the basketball stuff, the housing discrimination stuff, all these real issues that affect people. Is there a better time to do it now? But no, Fox News told me not to do anything. Oh, no, I won't. It's my promise. Oh my God, that might affect my political career if Fox News criticized me more. We have a black president. What good is it if you don't talk about the most important issues at the most important time? Look, here's another conversation you could have. Look, white folks and minorities in this country have different perspectives. It's not that they mean harm. So let's just use rough numbers. If you say, look, and I believe at least 90% of white people are not overtly racist, right? So in their experience, they're like, I don't understand. I'm not racist. Almost no one I know is racist. So why do blacks keep complaining about racism? But even if only a small number of whites were racist, 10%, 5%, whatever it might be, but let's call it the 90-10 rule. If 10% of whites were racist and did overtly racist things, it wouldn't affect 10% of blacks. It would likely affect 90% of blacks, because it would be in their experience all the time. You see, they're in the minority. There's a lot more whites than blacks. So it only takes a small amount to ruin it for everybody. But it gives the African Americans a different perspective. They might see racism all the time, even though most whites are not racist. But can you see that difference? Can you see that different perspective? God, wouldn't it be a great time to talk about that? If only we had a black president in this country at a time where we could really use him. But nope, Fox News told him, bow your head, shut up, go back inside, and don't say anything. And you fell right into their trap, and as always, you did as commanded by Fox News. How much more powerful do you have to be? Is there commander of the world title? You're the most powerful man on earth. Commander-in-chief of the biggest military the world has ever seen. President of the United States of America. Leader of the free world. Can you start acting like it and not worry about what some pissants on Fox News think of you? Show some leadership, for Christ's sake. The one thing that Fox News unfortunately is right about when it comes to President Obama is it is leadership from behind, where it is super safe.